What is going on, everybody? It's your favorite everything. This is JR Wisdom once again with another episode of the Atlanta Noire podcast. And if you guys are just now tuning in, this show is about highlighting Atlanta, people in Atlanta, their experiences, navigating the nightlife, navigating just Atlanta as a whole, and just getting a different perspective from different personnel. And this evening, got a special guest for you guys. This gentleman here, I know him from Instagram. He goes by the name of Marquis. How you doing, brother?
Doing good, JR. Doing good. Happy to be here.
Yeah. How was the drive over here?
Good. I was 5 minutes away. I like to plan ahead, so I went on ahead and shot down here, beat traffic. So
got you.
It was all good.
And you said about an hour out.
Yeah, where I live.
That drive, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
man.
That's a wild drive.
Yeah, just going there. So I noticed you on Instagram. You mostly in fitness and whatever, I'm assuming, but we're gonna get into what else that you into. But where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Las Vegas. I grew up in North Las Vegas.
Y'all gotta say that. I know y'all always gotta say that.
Yeah, I was born in San Francisco, California.
Okay.
But I grew up in North Las Vegas, West Coast. Yeah, I say that, people say, Las Vegas?
Yes.
How you end up here? How you end up all the way in Atlanta? So we'll get into that in a second.
Right.
But yeah, I'm a West Coast child.
What was it like growing up in Vegas?
Growing up in Vegas, late 80s, 90s, it was rough, but I honestly got to say that it was what you made it. But where I grew up, it reminds you of California because it looked just like Cali.
Right.
Cali's right next door, so we had some of the same things. Where I grew up, the neighborhood I was in, drug dealing, gang banging, and all that great stuff. I've seen it all growing up, and it was diverse as far as the people, but where I grew up, it was the whole black and brown thing was going on.
Right.
And with me being half Latino, and I was able to blend with both sides, but then it came to a point where you had to pick a side because early 90s, colorism was everything.
Right.
People think it's something now, but long ago, it was something serious. It was rough. Had my good times and bad times. Probably more bad than good growing up.
So what type of dude were you back in
high school? I ain't gonna say I was popular and everybody knew me, but when I got to high school, I played sports. You're affiliated with all the athletes and everything, whatnot. So that you stuck with your crew. So with me, I was pretty much, I got along with some of everybody. At that time, I was about itching out of the whole gangbanging thing because I got into that at an early age, early teens. And so by the time I got in 10th grade, I started to itch away from it because I started to see a lot of bad things happen. I knew I had to make a choice. I'm going to finish high school. I'm going to pursue my education. I got to leave this alone because you can't do both. So I had to make a choice. Then by that time, 10th grade was wrapping up. I knew, okay, I'm going to just stick with school.
So you was in those streets.
Yeah, I was in the streets. I was in the streets mainly for protection because when I was 9 years old, I got shot twice. And that's what made me join the gang because you needed that protection.
Right.
And I remember, back then, even before it happened, just being bullied every day. And where I'm from, if you don't have nobody to vouch for you have nobody to say, oh, yeah, I know him, that's my man, he's good, then you on your own.
Right.
So it was pretty much, it's survival mode. So you had to get down for survival. You needed somebody to have your back.
Right.
Just hoping and wishing this wasn't going to work.
Yeah, that's one thing. I used to live in California, or I used to live in LA at one point too, for a few years in the Valley. But one thing about people, especially in the South, the Southeast, because there are gangs in the North, but the Southeast, they don't understand. Like, why would you join a gang? And obviously, as you said, sometimes it's for protection. Yeah. So you said you were half Latino. You're Puerto Rican?
Half Puerto Rican, half black. Yeah,
Gotcha.
mom's side Puerto Rican, dad's side black. But what's funny is that on my mom's side, my grandmother's Puerto Rican, but my grandfather's black. So it's split, but we more so adapt to the black side just because that's what was dominant. So when you say you speak Spanish, a little bit. If you don't use it, you lose it. So I don't speak a lot of it. When I go home, a little bit, my grandmother, but everybody speaks English. It's just what's in my bloodline.
Got you. So after high school, what was your next venture?
I graduated high school. I went straight to college, and I went to Georgia State.
Okay.
Because at that time I was here.
Gotcha.
I came here. I finished my senior year of high school here. And I went straight to college after that. I was the first person from my family on my dad's side to ever go to college. Okay. Graduate, ever. Everybody went to the service. Because I come from a military family. My dad was in the Navy. My grandfather was in the Navy. My oldest brother's in the Army. He's still in. He's been in for over 25 years. But it's just me. I just when I went to college, I always had the thing for school, and I know it's not for everybody because everybody
Right.
can't go to school for 4 years again. And finish. I remember going to high school with people that didn't even dropped out ninth grade, 10th grade. So for me, I pursued my education, got my degree in business management. So, and at that time when I got it, it felt like graduating high school all over again. Really, everybody pursued masters and PhDs after that. I was done.
So did you go on a scholarship?
No, I went. I didn't have a scholarship, but I got helped out here in Georgia. They had that Pell Grant, I think they
Right.
had long ago. So I had that. Got a little help with financial aid, like a lot of us did.
Right.
I didn't have a tremendous amount of student loan debt when I finished, thank God. I struggled probably my freshman year of college. You're really not making a whole lot of money because you don't have a lot of skills. You just got out of high school. Back then, minimum wage was like, I think what, like
$5.25.
$5,
Yeah.
something like that. So you're really not making no money. So I remember I worked 2 jobs my freshman year. I was working at the Georgia Dome back when the Dome was still here.
Yeah.
And I was working for RGIS, which is an inventory company. We go to different stores and do the inventory. So I was working 2 jobs my freshman year. If you want to make decent money, sometimes you got to work twice as hard when you're not in the career field you want to be in. Well, that's what I did. And, I made it work.
So what was it like when you moving from Vegas to here as a senior?
It was different
Yeah.
because I didn't have any friends.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time by myself because when I came here for my senior year and went to high school, I realized that a lot of people I went to school with, they all grew up together.
Yeah.
And I'm from the West Coast. I don't know anybody
Right.
here. I mean, I got family here that's scattered around, but we're talking about high school where I have nobody here. I remember the second semester, my cousin, he ended up coming to the same high school with me, but we didn't have class together because I'm a little bit older than him. So we didn't really have any class and stuff together. We would see each other passing in the hallways and stuff, and he would try to plug me in with certain people. But at that time, when I came here, I stopped all the gangbanging stuff and all that. I was never into drugs, none of drinking, none of that type of stuff
Right.
or whatnot. So a lot of the people I went to school with used to smoke cigarettes or drink alcohol. I couldn't do that because I'm living with my uncle and he's heavily in the church. So if I come home smelling like alcohol or any type of smoke, he's gonna kill me. So at that time, I was just hanging out by myself. I would go to the movies by myself, go to the mall by myself, go to church with him because he was a deacon in the church. So we used to go up there and do some work during the weeks and stuff in church and on the weekends. So that's what kept me, busy. Adjusting to the South was very different
Right.
because it's just completely different culture.
So was that the reason why you got sent over? Or did you get sent over here because of your behavior? Or was it
No,
something
because I
else?
wasn't, to be honest, even though I was in the streets,
Yeah.
I kept it away from my grandparents. I was living with my grandparents when I was in Vegas. So they didn't know what I was involved in.
Okay.
So I knew how to camouflage that because I wanted to be respectful. My grandfather was a reverend, and God rest his soul. He worked very hard to provide and everything. But during that time, it was still rough.
Got you.
So I wanted to create my own lane, but I always made sure to be respectful to the house and everything. So I didn't bring any drugs in the house, none of that stuff, or wads of cash or anything that looked crazy. So no, what ended up getting me moved here was my grandparents thought that it would be a better fit for me to be on my dad's side just because they had more resources. Living with your grandparents ain't but so much they can do. And on top of that, I lived with them early on, probably 15 years prior growing up because my dad got sent to prison. We were living with our grandparents.
Got you.
So, for them to get me again as a teenager, they're like, look, you need to be with somebody who's more in tap with you and what you got
Right.
going on. So it might be best fit that you go down there to the South and live with your uncle or whatnot on your dad's side.
So after college, you got your degree in business management?
Yeah,
So what happened after college?
I struggled badly. 2009 was a rough year. I spent a lot of time homeless because at that time, my aunt and uncle that I lived with here had moved to Virginia. So they were gone. Now, I had relatives, cousins and stuff extended, but I didn't want to be a burden on nobody.
Right.
I still kept a job. I didn't make a whole lot of money. I always kept some type of job. Back when I was homeless, you couldn't tell I was homeless.
So when you say, because I know we talked about this homeless thing offline, I guess people have different definitions of homeless.
Yeah.
When you were homeless, what do you mean you were homeless?
I didn't have a stable place to live. I was bouncing around. At that time, this is years before I met my ex-wife. Didn't have kids at the time. It's just me. So I can survive on my own. I know how to survive. I know how to be able to make it to the next day, the next week, and so on and so forth. But I just didn't have a stable place to live.
Gotcha.
Because I wasn't in a career field yet. I wasn't really making a whole lot of money. So just scraping by. But I wasn't letting it consume me to where it caused me to be depressed or get into trouble or whatnot. I kept a level head. And because I always had to keep moving. You always got to keep thinking 10 steps ahead. That's why I am the way I am now as far as being calculated on certain things.
Right.
Because when you have nothing, it requires you to think a lot faster.
Absolutely.
You know? So that's what I guess that time was a training area for me to be able to get me more mentally and mentally focused and to make me self-motivated
Right.
and not depend on people.
I got you. So how long did that last? I know you said you got married.
I got married. I met my ex-wife in August of 2010.
Okay.
I got married in 2012. We officially got married in 2012
Okay.
of August. And this was, it was right after we had my daughter. Because I met my ex-wife, she already had a kid,
Okay.
which is my son. Now he just turned 16 the other day, but he was a baby when her and I first started dating. He was
Right.
still in diapers and everything. I've been raising him all these years.
Got you.
I didn't have kids at the time. It fell off because she had went out of town. So at that time, I'm thinking, okay, all right, we about to lose connection and whatnot. But she came back, reconnected, and we just kept it going. And at that time, I wanted a family. I was ready to settle down. I just turned 22, actually. Yeah,
You was ready for a family.
I was ready for it because coming from being homeless and not really having nobody or whatnot, I wanted to settle down. She had a kid or whatnot, and he gravitated to me, started calling me dad. I never heard that before, so it felt good to have a little family dynamics. I went for it. Just jumped out there and went for it.
So were you dating before you got married? Or this was like the first?
Nah, I was dating. Oh, yeah, I was dating.
Yeah.
Nothing serious. Nothing that lasted no more than a few months dating. But then not really getting experience like that because it was just fly-by-night stuff.
Yeah. So what would you say about dating in Atlanta at that time, the late 2000s? How would you describe it? Or this wasn't the late 2000s?
This was, this 2010s.
Yeah. Okay.
Then it was a lot different from what it is now. But still some of the same things that we deal with, but people still had what was last of the little morals that they were going to have, in my opinion, because we were starting to think the culture and everything was starting to change at that time. So then, from what I can remember, it just all depends on who you were dating, who you were involved with, where you were at. You compare it to now, it's changed a whole lot now. But I think back then, people still had some type of morals. Some people still were a little bit more conscious about who they chose and who they got with. Some of us, not everybody, and some people did, but it was still diverse like it is now.
So at that point, you had dated for a few years and had the college experience and everything, and you got married.
Yep.
So how long were you married for?
I was married like I said, we got married in 2012 officially, and we got divorced in January of 2018. Actually, no, I'm sorry, February 2018, right before my birthday. Right before my birthday in 2018.
Do you think you got married too early?
I don't think so.
No?
I think because one thing I know from what I was taught, for men, it's a little different than women. For me, I was glad to get that experience. Even though we were young, and some will say, you should wait till you got a little bit older. At that time, when you're building a family, I'm looking at it from perspective of, I got this family, I'm going to go ahead and go all out with it and try to make the best of it. Now, I didn't have a whole lot of knowledge and wisdom as far as how to balance things, so I struggled with that. Struggled with communication, struggled with as far as learning how to handle difficult situations, and just afraid of what will happen if I'm too honest about something, or if I don't.
What do you mean by that?
As far as not being able to juggle all of it and say, hey, look, I need some help, I need some help. Because back then, I wasn't interested in therapy or counseling or nothing like that. I wasn't prone to that. I didn't get into that until years later. Didn't do premarital counseling or none of that. Just went for it head first and made a lot of mistakes. And because I'm not going to drag anybody, I talk about myself. I don't like to talk about people who are not here to defend themselves. From my perspective of the relationship, from what I did, I was very selfish. I was very selfish. Made decisions, didn't even think about it. Didn't even think twice about it. Just did it because it felt good. I wanted to do it. So I didn't like the person I was looking back.
Right.
Didn't like it. Hated the person I was.
But you weren't like, I didn't know what I was doing. Because I didn't have a father to be able to see what right looks like, or I didn't have a family dynamic to know what it looks like. I was definitely selfish and didn't know how to deal with a woman or a wife or a father.
Not really understanding women enough like I thought I did. At that age, you're coming out of your teen years when you're in your early 20s, so you think you know it all. Can't nobody tell you nothing. When some of the old heads try to come to you and give you a little bit of knowledge, you're like, oh man, you don't know. That's how they did it back in the day. You don't know what's going on right now. Yeah, just not listening and not taking great advice, and then hanging around the wrong kind of people. See, earlier stages of my marriage, I hung out with one of my best friends. He was my barber at the time, so me and him used to hang out a lot. And he was married, but he was serially cheating on his wife constantly. Of course, and at the time, I'll never forget my ex-wife telling me, she's like, "Hey, he's cool. I know he's your friends. When you be telling me certain stories about him going out and being out, I'm not really comfortable with that." Looking back on it, she was absolutely right. Yeah. You're hanging out with these people, they're going to influence you to do things that, not to say that you don't want to do, you just around that. You are who you hang around. So you hang around those type of people, then it's only a matter of time before you get right into it.
And that's what happened?
That's what ended up happening, yeah. But see, a little bit of that was happening even before me and him became cool like that. Yeah, I was still cheating, lying, and stuff. And really, her and I both were coming out of some situations of being single and being used to doing what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
But at the time, she was a little bit more mature than I was when it came to wanting to take this serious. I want to take it serious as well, but I'm still 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Right. How did that feel getting divorced?
Before the year prior to it happening, I was the one
trying to fix it. Yep, that's how it always is.
But I was still getting that pushback from her. And looking back on it, I think that she wanted it to work. She just didn't know how and didn't have the patience to go through another year with trying to figure out how to make this work and stuff. So she was pulling away from me. I'll never forget September of 2017 when she told me that she didn't love me anymore or whatnot. That's when I had to cash out. This is when I started to get back into myself while we were still together. Because prior to that, we felt like roommates. We just roommates. We just there, but not resisting. So when she said that to me, I knew, okay, it's time for me to get me together or whatnot, because the inevitable was going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen. You just don't know when it's going to happen. And at the time, going into 2018, things started to change for me. I got a better job and everything was, at that point, a year and a half heavily back in the gym, building the confidence up, getting your body right and everything. And so everything happened the way it was supposed to happen. Because had she left me years prior to that, I'd have been lost. I've been out here trying to figure it out, not knowing how to go from having a house with a full family in it to just
by yourself.
So I needed that time to get myself together or whatnot. Because like I said, 2017, we were disconnected. We weren't taking trips anymore together, and we were just different spaces.
You think that's one of the best things ever happened to you?
Getting divorced? That's a good question. I don't know. Yeah, maybe so, because when somebody's not happy, but remember, God rest the dead, Kev used to always say, hey, French toast your happiness. You got this family, you got to make it work no matter what. You got to just figure it out, because what's waiting for you on the other side? But at the same time, you know what? I can see things. I can see this whole thing through on the other side by myself. I got to figure it out. Fine. So when we split, I ended up moving to Sandy Springs, Georgia. Got a little apartment out there or whatnot. Had little to no furniture, but I didn't care. Because I'm very basic. I can make it work in this little room right here and I'll be fine. You know, I didn't care about that. I just wanted to be in a place where I could have some peace. And it felt a little different because I miss my kids. Of course, from seeing children every day to seeing them maybe every other weekend or once a month or whatnot, trying to get that on track. That was the toughest part because they were still small at the time. And that was the only difficult thing, was just my kids.
So did you get right back out into dating after that?
I did. I moved on pretty fast. Oh, yeah. Because even prior to us splitting, I was already dating and seeing other people. Because I knew she was, but I didn't care.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't care no more. When you get to a point where you stop caring, you're not even checking for a person, or they didn't come home, or she's still out, you don't even care no more. Like I said, we were like roommates. So I was dating, I was seeing people. Wasn't nothing serious or nothing like that. I ended up getting serious probably some months after we split, and she didn't take that very well because it was like it was too fast, or who's gonna be around the kids, or what's gonna happen with that. And it's like, hey, look, we're not together anymore. I don't speak on what you do, and you can't speak on what I do. It's just a whole transitioning part of it. You know, I moved on pretty smoothly. Never asked to get back with her. Never tried to go back and work it out.
Right.
Never spent the block. Never. Not one time. And I think that's what really caused a lot of resentment is because I didn't try to go
Yeah.
back. And I think she wanted me to, beg to come back. But I'm an Aquarius. Once I'm done, I'm done. I'm done. I don't have no more in me. So.
That's good, especially that being your first breakup. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, first
Yeah.
first time getting married, first time getting divorced. That was my first major one. So
Yeah. Let's get off of this talking about the ex.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's we've been on that for a while. So you got back out in these streets, right? What's one thing that you would have done, or would you have done anything different as far as getting back out there, getting back out on the dating scene? Would there be anything you would do differently?
I don't think I would have did it differently. Take that advice I was given a little while ago, which is it takes some more time to be single. It's okay to be single, but for me, what always got to me was that I would hit good little milestones in my life. Just wanted somebody to share it with.
Yeah.
Just wanted to have somebody to have for companionship, and not necessarily just sex, but just the opposite sex to be there to congratulate you on something,
Right.
or kind of be there for some type of emotional support or whatnot. So I'd probably taken more time just to be single for a little bit longer, just to focus on myself a little bit more, because I was doing really good for myself, but just to take more time.
So how soon did you get back in a relationship?
After my divorce, probably about 4 months. About 3 months after my divorce.
So that was that rebound pretty quick, even though you
Yeah,
was yeah.
because honestly, I'll be honest with you, we was already seeing each other. We had met we met 2 years prior to me splitting.
2016.
Yeah, we had met 2 years prior to that. So at that time, we were already familiar with each other. Nothing ever happened, but we were already familiar with each other and everything.
So for context, how old were you?
In 2018, I just turned 30.
You just turned 30. Okay. Got back in the relationship out there. And I agree with that advice. Definitely taking more time.
Yeah.
But especially after that situation, a lot of people do that, men and women, thinking that it's going to fix things. So where were you at? What were you doing at that point as far as for work?
At that time, I was working for this plant. I was supervising the night shift. It was brutal. I made decent money, but it came with a lot of stress.
Right.
And I think working that job is what got my blood pressure up, my anxiety up real bad.
Right.
Because I remember a little short stint that year, I had to go to the hospital because blood pressure was really high. And at the time, I didn't even know I had high blood pressure. I had no idea. So I was working there, and I was doing fairly well. This was probably the most money I had made in my adult years, just being able to work one job in one of those industry plants where they make the little plastic things that they sell at Publix where the fruit goes in. Yeah, working in those, so seeing how those things are made. So just keeping that plant running. Had like 50 employees on the floor that you're over, and just running that business,
Right.
Whatnot. So I had got that job because one of the guys I was doing a little personal training on the side, and the guy that was the general manager of that plant is the one that ended up getting me that position there. So he hooked me up.
So you, at this point in life, you were doing pretty
I
good.
was
You
doing
wasn't
good. Oh, yeah.
devastated after divorce as far as...
No,
Okay.
definitely not. No. Like I said, the only thing I was devastated about was my kids and not
Gotcha.
being able to see them. But the relationship itself, I don't know.
Financially, you were good.
Yeah.
So at any point, so you jump back in a relationship, I don't know how long that lasts. At any point, were you dating multiple women?
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Did you ever have a starting five, as I like to call it?
Yeah, it was funny. Me and a friend of mine earlier today, that same phrase came up, start file. Yeah, during that time, yeah. And I wasn't sleeping with everybody. That's
Right.
the thing. Everybody that I was probably dating wasn't sleeping with. Wasn't just
Right.
sleeping with everybody. Because I'll have female I'll go out with just because she's fun to go out with.
Yeah.
So they call it like the homie or whatnot. Yeah, so I had that. Then you had the ones that you wanted to sleep with. I was always very selective because even though I guess the women that I was seeing, if sex was available, okay, I could have just did it if I wanted to.
Right.
But I didn't have sex with everybody. So
Right.
some ones or whatnot. But during that time, fresh out of my marriage, I'm dating, I'm enjoying life for the first time, being kid free and stuff during the weeks, which I wasn't used to.
Right.
So I was just filling that time up with just going on dates, just going out, making myself available.
How easy is it to get dates here in the city of Atlanta?
For men,
Yeah.
It's just all about the man himself. To say it's easy, I would say it's not easy, but it's not difficult at the same time. You just have to be a man of purpose, and you just gotta have to get the gab. You can't just leave with your wallet.
Right.
You can't leave with the material things because you see that everywhere.
Right.
We in Buckhead, a lot of guys got nice cars. They drive some of everything,
Right.
nice jewelry, nice clothes and everything. That's nice and all, but aside from that, what's up with you? You have to know how to approach women. That's number one. Your approach has to be right. If you're gonna meet somebody in the streets, now if you're on a dating site, and that's different. That kind of filters everything and minimizes it for you. But if you're gonna approach a woman, then you gotta know what to say. And one of the things I was telling a friend of mine earlier, I said you can even you dating a woman. Let's say y'all went on a couple of dates. It's nothing serious, but you question when y'all gonna sleep together. That's not very hard to do because the more you don't talk about sex or mention anything sexual, that draws her more into you because of the fact that you're not leading with that. Because I tell guys all the time, a woman know off top, ladies, excuse my language, she know off top whether she gonna get that pussy or not when she first meets you. Sure. She knows off top. The moment you approach her, she can turn and look at you and say, nah, and turn her head back the other way. And it's all good. But she knows off top whether you can get it or not. It just depends on you. That's why I say it's on you. It depends on you how your game is. I would say a vision.
A vision?
some type of vision. You gotta have a vision.
So where's for the people coming to Atlanta or people who are considering coming to Atlanta or people who are new here, where's the best place to meet people? I'm gonna just say people, not just women, but people.
I would get out when they have these festivals. Every year they have that Sweet Auburn Fest, and that brings a lot of people out.
I think 4 times a year.
They have that. So you just gotta get in them networking circles. The best thing to do is figure out what it is you like. What are you into art? You into fashion? You into music? So whatever it is you're into, just you hang with that circle. First thing first is get on your phone, get online, see what kind of social groups are that strike your interest, see where they meeting up at. So it just all depends on what you're into. Because Atlanta is welcoming to everybody.
For sure.
Regardless of what you do. Facts. It doesn't matter, gay, straight, undecided, business, whatever you're into is welcoming to everything. So you have groups for, if you're into sports, there's hella sports groups. So it all depends on what you're into. And then you go to what caters to you or whatnot, or what your circle is, and you just go out, see where they meeting up at, and network, make yourself known. Especially if you have a product or something to promote, that definitely gets you plugged in. You can link up with other business people that share the same business as you, and there you go. So it all depends on the person and what they're into.
So how did you get into physical training, bodybuilding, working out?
Well, I'm not a bodybuilder. My brother was a bodybuilder. I'm not a bodybuilder. I got into fitness, I would say it started back in high school, lifting weights, because I played sports in high school. I played basketball and I played football. More football than basketball when I was in high school, but I was skinny. I was JJ skinny back in those days. I was always lean, but I wasn't muscular, none of that stuff. So what got me heavily into it was, I would say 2 years before my divorce is when I started going back into the gym regularly. I used to go in there for 5 o'clock in the morning. And I would listen to different motivational speakers at the time, because this is the time where I was getting dragged in my marriage. I mean, she was pretty much dogging me every chance she got. So that was the only thing I had to be able to have an outlet, because it wasn't going to be smoking or drinking. Because I'm a social, drinker or whatnot. I don't smoke weed and nothing like that. Going to the gym is what got the confidence back. Body started changing and everything. And I didn't notice it at first. Other people start noticing it first, and then they'll say, damn, man, you got a little bit bigger or whatnot. And you look in the mirror, you're like, okay, maybe I have. So it motivates you to keep going, especially when other people are noticing the success or whatnot. Yeah, that's what got me into it, really. It just needed a confidence booster.
Got it. And you've stuck with it since then?
Yeah. It's like everybody else now, fitness world is so huge now. Everybody's into it. Everybody's an influencer. Everybody's a trainer or whatnot. It's nice to see that, though. It's nice to see people in the fitness or whatnot. Even if you go in there and you're not working out as hard as the next person, you're still going. So
showing up.
Yeah, showing up. Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about it.
So are you a trainer?
No, I'm no. I manage a fitness gym, so I'm over personal trainers, but I don't do it myself. I'm in management, so I can't do the personal training. But I manage a lot of personal trainers at my gym.
Got you. That's dope. Were you, when you got divorced, were you like a lot of people where they're like, I ain't never getting married again? Or you wanted to get married again?
No, because I always knew that I don't want to sound arrogant when I say this, but I always knew that I could start over whenever I wanted. And when I was going through counseling by myself, even prior to my marriage, a friend of mine told me at the time, he was like, dog, you can get married, you can be 75 years old, and as long as you still got it, whatnot, you good. So I knew it was a good possibility I was gonna get married again. You know, I never threw the whole idea and thought I would just cause of a bad experience. I use it as a learning experience, identifying the mistakes that I made. So I said, no, it's not, you know, me, I'm going to prohibit myself from doing it again. No, I always knew it was going to be a good chance I get married again.
Got it. So you didn't count that?
No, I didn't count it out.
Because some dudes be like, especially if they go through like a terrible divorce. Like me, I went through a damn terrible divorce, and I was the one who filed. You know what I'm saying? But it's one of those things sometimes where you like, man, why would I put myself back in this position again? You know what I mean? If you've been through a difficult one, people who haven't, I get it. You know what I mean? So that's dope that you haven't lost hope.
Nah,
haven't, you know,
I didn't lose hope on it, because I always looked at it like with divorces. Well, you got divorced for a reason. So when people say it was a mutual agreement, no, it wasn't.
Right.
Somebody said.
That's what I always
Somebody
say.
came and said, "Look, I don't think we're gonna make it. This ain't happening. Whether it's a man or a woman, it doesn't matter." But somebody came to somebody and presented the idea. It was never a mutual thing. In my situation, it wasn't mutual. But I had to become adjusted to what she wanted. Because I remember at the time, my counselor kept asking me, well, what do you want? What do you want? I'm like, what does it matter what I want? She don't want to be with me, so what can I do?
Yeah.
You can fight, but it takes two people to fight for it. It can't be one-sided. So I had to adjust to the fact that, okay, I'm losing my wife. All right. At least I still got my kids. I just got that to focus on. And I didn't throw away the idea of doing it again. You know, so.
How important, because this is a question that I think comes up as we get older, how important is sex in a relationship, in a marriage?
I would say it's important because sex is, and I guess it depends on the couple and how they agree to make it. But it's not a thing where you pencil in and say, hey, babe, Thursday night, don't forget 7 o'clock, we got sex that night. All right, so don't plan nothing. It's not that. It's all about your chemistry. And you learn that before you get married.
Absolutely.
You learn the chemistry before y'all get married, so y'all know y'all flow. You know when she wants it. She know when you want it. You know when it's been a week or it's been a few days. You're like, hey, you know, I've been looking at you this time. So I think it's important because it's a connection time. And I understand a lot of people, their careers may take them in different directions or whatnot, and take them away from the intimacy. It could be watching a movie or just date night or whatnot. So you got to make plans for that. You got to make that a priority. You have to, I believe, because I understand infidelity can happen either way, but you still have to be connected some type of way. So I would say it's very important.
Because I've had the conversation. I brought him up on another show. I've actually had him on one of my live streams before. His name is Javon. And he said that he's a big influencer on Facebook. And he was like, sex is at the bottom of the list when it comes to him and his wife. And my sex drive is enough for 10 men. But he's like, where I'm at right now is at the bottom of the list. And I guess a lot of guys, they get with women just to have frequent sex. You know what I'm saying? And everything else is jacked up. Where she may not be a good woman. She may be the one badgering you that's causing you to go broke, all these other things. But the sex is good.
Yeah,
but I think sex gets old after a while. If that's the only thing that bonds you two together is sex, then I feel like, unless you just, like you said, 60, 70 something years old, and you're like, I really don't care. I'm just here to have sex. I don't care what she got going on. She can come and go as she please or whatever, but that's as long as I'm getting
that's not a relationship. We're talking about a relationship.
For sure.
Then now I agree with him to a certain extent as far as it being about, because I know I can only imagine what he prioritized at the top, which I can agree with. I understand that. But if this is, like you were saying, a woman that says the sex is good, but everything else is trash, then that's not your wife. Then that's just what are you doing? That's because, like I said, when you're vetting somebody for marriage, first thing first is, let's rewind. Y'all got to come together and agree, and everybody got to be honest. What are we here for? Are we pursuing this to be serious, or we're just cut buddies, platonic, it's all good or whatnot? That's going
cut buddies.
whatever it's going to be, that's going to set up the format for going forward. So if you have good sex, but everything else is garbage, you knew that coming through the door that it was going to be just this. So you can't expect anything else. There's no emotional. But times things happen. You do understand that somebody catches feelings at some point, especially if y'all doing things like a couple would do, but there's no title on it. At some point, you got to say, what are we doing here? But everybody got to be honest. Men, we got to be honest. We got to say, hey, look, hey, I ain't looking for nothing serious. You look good or whatnot. I'm attracted to you, attracted to me. We vibe. Everybody say we vibe or whatever. So that's what it is. But if this is a person that you want to call your wife, then yes, I agree with him. You're going to have to put other things as a priority communication. What's that like? What are her habits that she does and I don't like? What are my habits that I have that she don't like? You got to connect in those type of ways. Yeah, so I agree with that. I can agree with him on that.
What do you, because you mentioned something just now. What's your thoughts on lying to women to get what you want?
Lying to women to get what you want?
Yeah.
And they still doing that? That's old school. I ain't gonna lie. Many years ago, when I ain't had no sense, I lied to women to get, absolutely. I didn't lie and say, okay, I'm gonna marry you. We're gonna walk down the aisle or whatnot. I may have put off a certain persona or whatnot. And I wouldn't even say it was a lie as in, are we gonna be boyfriend and girlfriend? Yes, and then we're not. No, but just finessing it a little bit or whatnot, throwing a little extra sauce on the game. Absolutely. We all have done it at some point. We all have done it. I've been guilty of doing that. Absolutely. I'm from Las Vegas. I'm from Finesse City.
Yeah.
I said we used to do that stuff in high school, going to college. Yeah. That's a part of it. But as you get older and you want something serious and you want to be taken serious, you learn that, okay, I got to put all that bullshit aside. I got to get my shit together for real, because if I want a certain type of woman, then I got to be a certain type of man, because a lot of women, especially the smart ones, they can see straight through you.
Right.
Now, the fly-by-night ones or whatever, they don't care either way it go. And men, we know off the first date what category she's going in. This is wifey. This is a jump off. So if I want a certain type of woman, I got to present myself a certain type of way. I got to take myself serious. So you got to cut all that line, cut all that dumb shit. And then when you get yourself together and you get out here dating, you're going to know who's for you and who's not for you off top. So
do you think, because this is something that, I've heard a few women since I've been here, and I've asked all my guests this. Do you think that Atlanta is a man's playground when it comes to women?
Yeah, you better be careful.
Yeah.
It's a playground. Yeah, I would say. Atlanta's become New Chocolate City.
New Chocolate
So
City.
yeah, I would say yeah. I remember a long time ago back in the day, DC was just Chocolate City.
Right.
It probably still is, but that was a playground. There was a lot of real ones who was out there playing around in DC, but Atlanta, oh yeah, absolutely. And it really don't matter if you're in the metro Atlanta area or if you're on the outskirts, because it seems like everybody who even lives on the outskirts of Atlanta still kind of gravitate some type of way. Yeah, it is a playground. Like I said, when I was single, being able to have that freedom to do what you want, and even women too. When women are single, they date who they want, sleep with who they want, and whatnot, because you have options.
Absolutely.
Same thing with men. You have plenty of options. And honestly, what it does is, see, I went through the whole single phase from a different perspective. I was getting my experience up as far as dating and relationships and whatnot. So, and I remember saying this to myself the other day when a friend of mine was talking about back when we were being single, being able to get that training as far as, okay, let me use this as a tool to take away from, okay, what I did wrong, what did she do wrong, and how could I fix things or whatnot. So I was using it as experience, because think about it. You get with somebody, they say, well, I've been single for 8 years. And damn. So you ain't been in a relationship in 8 years? It's like not having a job in 8 years. What skills do you have? What communication skills do you have? How are you as far as problem solving? Yeah, I would definitely recommend to people to use it as a learning experience, as well as, okay, you want to have fun. I mean, we're adults. You're going to have a good time. That's going to come along with it. But try to learn something from it at least. Try to learn at least some type of lesson or something, regardless of what situation you're in.
Yeah. How important is it? How important is it to have a woman that you can tell everything to?
It's very important, because it
and
gets
her
you,
not use it against you.
That comes with trust.
Yeah.
That's versus trust. And before you even get into the nitty gritty of the things that I want to express to her and tell her. You got to establish that trust and that safe space to say, okay, this is a safe space for us. Nothing you say is going to be used against you in court of law. You know,
Right.
I'm not going to judge you or whatnot. And it's very important because in previous situations, I hid a lot of my stuff in my past or certain things that maybe I was into or whatnot. So you got to wear this mask of I'm this type of person, which I'm still a good, solid, good person, not trying to hurt nobody.
Right.
But you can't be fully honest with a person because they judge you. They'll ask you questions to be, you know, because they're curious, but then turn around and later on use against you. You said this and that made me feel uncomfortable or whatnot. So it shuts you down.
Yeah.
Sometimes women teach us how to shut up because we're trying to express ourselves. And some of them are so close-minded where they say, I don't want to hear that. You two out there wild for me. Even though you may have changed. That may be the old you and that's not you now. But, you know, so sometimes, like I said, in situations like that, you have to establish the trust first to be able to open up and say, this is who I am, or this is what I did, this is who I used to be, or maybe this is who I am now, and give her the option to say, okay, or nah, that ain't gonna work for me.
Right.
Instead of making a decision for them and say, nah, you're gonna accept me for good, bad, ugly, whatever. Yeah, you gotta be honest first off and establish that trust first.
That's dope. So Marquis, so understand you're into physical fitness. You manage some gyms, things like that. You're in the city of Atlanta. But I also understand that you have dabbled in some alternative things, maybe some cheek clapping, things of that nature. Y'all know I like to use that term, cheek clapping. Yeah, cheek clapping things.
Oh, you don't do your infamous thing no more? You used to always doing a video like this? You don't do this no more?
I don't. Those cheek clapping.
Yeah.
Shout out to my BBWs. You know I love my BBWs.
Yeah, shout out to all the BBWs with little titties.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you get into that?
Oh man, I got into that the whole adult film thing, and honestly, I wasn't like one of these well-known ones.
Right.
It wasn't nothing major. A friend of mine, when I was in college, my roommate at the time, he was a few years older than me. He was in school. Just me and him had rented a house together, and he was a photographer. And this is years before the OnlyFans stuff.
Right.
This is before all the different
Early 2010s.
clips. Like, yeah. So this is mid 2010s.
Mid 2010s.
So, no, I'm sorry, not 2010s. No, this was like
Mid
2007, 2008. There you go.
Got
Yeah.
it.
So this is back when people were still watching porn. You were still getting magazines or whatever.
Right.
DVDs and stuff were still selling. So he had a magazine that he was producing at the time, or publishing or whatever he was doing. His cousin was funding it or whatnot. So he would shoot models. And at first it started off with him shooting regular models. They would be half naked or fully naked or whatnot. And so he got into the porn thing because of his cousin. His cousin was like, we make more money if we actually do, actual porn stuff. So,
Right.
And at the time, I didn't really, think nothing of it or whatnot. I didn't really care, So
You just knew he was doing this.
yeah, he was doing it, whatnot. It didn't really faze me or anything because it's just like, oh, okay, you got women coming over, taking pictures of them. I'm going out dating and doing my thing, whatever. I'm in college.
So you
or
were
whatnot.
living in the dorms?
No, I never lived in the dorms.
So you guys
No.
shared an apartment?
Yeah, we shared a house. He had inherited the house from his family,
Got you.
or whatnot. So I was just renting space there. So me and him became real cool,
Got you.
or whatnot. One day he texted me. I was in class. He's like, "Yo, man, I got this girl here. Got to do this scene, but the talent didn't show up. The guy that was originally supposed to do it never showed up. So he was like, yo, you think you can do it? And I was like, man, I can't do that. All right, I guess.
It's just out the
all right,
yeah.
that's for him, so whatever. And at the time, I'm real green to it. I don't really know what's going on. I just see a light, a camera, and him saying, all right, this is what I need or whatnot.
Right.
And so he was just like, all I need you to do is just get in this video or whatnot. I'm going to tell y'all what positions we're trying to shoot. Because he would shoot it like, he wouldn't just let it flow all the way. He would just shoot different stuff and then just edit it all together or whatnot. So it wouldn't be his long, drawn out video.
Right.
So that's how he was doing it. So once I did that first scene, I was like, I like this. I enjoy it. I'm 20 years old. So I'm enjoying this. This is pretty dope. So let me know when y'all need me again.
Yeah.
So it became a more frequent thing or whatnot. That's the base of it, what it was. I wasn't never trying to make a career out of it or whatnot. It was a few women that I knew that were doing the clips for sale thing. And I remember dating a girl that was doing it. I didn't know she was doing the clips thing. Mm-hmm. I knew she was doing some print modeling and stuff.
Explain that to people who don't know what clips for sale is.
Oh, clips for sale, it was like was OnlyFans before you had OnlyFans.
Right.
So clips for sale, you were just selling like little clips, and they weren't very long. If you wanted to purchase a long video, it was like maybe $15, $20, but the little short clips were like maybe $4 or $5 at the most. So everything that you clicked on and wanted to watch was for sale.
Right.
Whatnot. That was the original OnlyFans, I would say. You know, in doing that, honestly, it wasn't like it brought up some crazy money because I never really pursued it like a career or was
Right.
trying to do my own thing with it. I dibbled and dabbled in it throughout the years or whatnot.
But this was before you were married and after you were married? Or
Oh, no, actually, yeah. This is before I was married. Yeah, this is long before I met my ex-wife. When I was with my ex-wife, I would dabble in it behind her back and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, yeah,
I did. I dabbled in it behind her back. And I didn't tell you this earlier. The woman that I ended up meeting in doing that, I ended up having a child with. One of the women that I was doing scenes with, we started seeing each other outside off camera stuff. Because like I said, all that stuff was amateur. It wasn't like we met on a professional set. We just started seeing each other, dating. Next thing I know, and it happened really fast. Everything happened really fast, back to back. We met each other, started dating. This is before I was officially married, but then we ended up conceiving a child. Yeah, this is before I was married. Now I was with my ex-wife, but we weren't officially married yet. We got married in the midst of this woman being pregnant. Now, me and my ex-wife, we had our first child together in 2011, the year before we got married. We had my oldest daughter. In 2012 was when I met, early 2012 was when I met the young lady that I ended up having a child with. And like I said, me and my ex-wife got married in August of 2012. That was a rough year because it was an up and down thing because I knew I wasn't leaving her. I knew I was going to be with her.
How did you tell her?
Oh, I never forget it. It was Cinco de Mayo. Floyd had just fought Miguel Cotto. I remember that fight because I remember that fight being on that weekend. And she suspected something because she knew when I was messing around, she knew I was cheating and stuff or whatnot. But she wasn't really sure of the demographics of the situation. So I remember that night, you know, she was ignoring me the entire night. She had went out with one of her girlfriends, and ironically, me and the woman I was, messing with, me and her was out somewhere. And I remember trying to call her, and she wasn't answering the phone. She wasn't answering. So my cousin ends up calling me. She's like, "Yo, everything good? What's going on?" I was like, "What you mean?" She's like, "Yo, just I'm sorry."
No, we'll cut it out. Yeah, remind me.
She was like,
remind me to cut it out. Yeah.
Yeah, but she was like, "Yo, man," she put something wild on Facebook. I was like, well, "What is it?" She was like, "Yo, God, you gotta go see it." So I went on there, and she put a subliminal message up, but you could tell who she was talking about clearly. So I was like, okay, that's the reason why she's not answering the phone. She gets home later on that night or whatnot. We're beefing over that or whatever. And that's when I just went on here and told her, I said, look, all right, you might as well hear this from me and find this out somewhere else. But I was like, yeah, the girl that you know of already, that you claim you don't know of or whatnot, yeah, she's pregnant. And this was 2012. This was May of 2012 when I told her. Yeah.
And so how did she react to that? Because I know a lot of men, some haven't had that conversation, but a lot of men have had to have that conversation.
Yeah.
How did it go once you told her that?
Oh, once I told her, she said, "Oh, okay." She's like, "You got two women pregnant right now," because my ex-wife was pregnant at the time too. She was pregnant at the same time as well. So I was like, "Yeah, I do." So she was basically saying, "Oh, so y'all gonna be together now? What's going on?" I was like, "Oh, we had no plans of being together or whatnot." So at that time, she was really just trying to distance herself because basically saying that she didn't want to be with me and stuff and whatnot. It was Mother's Day weekend is when we reconciled right after that. Now, she wasn't still 100%, but you can tell she was still being cordial and being active because she didn't want to give up on the family. Then we got a baby coming or whatnot. It was very difficult. And I said a lot of that was because, like I said, it's my fault.
Yeah.
Being irresponsible and not thinking about longevity and how this is going to affect. So I put a lot on her that year, some heavy stuff like that. And like I said, I learned from it. That's one of the things that kind of opened my eyes up, like I said, to being selfish and not thinking things through all the way and not cutting something off at what it was. Because she told me at the time, I remember after that, she's like, "Yo, I knew you was out there doing your thing and whatnot. I'd say that I liked it. But one of the main rules is don't bring no babies home." Since she was kicking me in my back for that, and rightfully so, because it was fucked up. Yeah, it was. I admit that. So yeah, it was difficult. I was just thinking more so of the strain to put on our family, because now here it is. We have a new child. There's another new child coming in, and my children are very young, so they don't understand what the hell's going on. Yeah, they're oblivious to all this stuff. just trying to clean all that up. And we ended up getting married. And some will say your ex-wife married you to have one up on the baby mama, basically.
That's another conversation in itself.
Yeah.
In terms of
Yeah.
not taking that L. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That I'm wifey for lifey and
Yeah.
whatever. So I definitely get that. Having children by another woman, and we sometimes we look at it from a perspective of it's not a big deal, but just imagine what a woman's going through when she finds that out. And I think my sister at the time, she told me something along those lines. When a woman, even sometimes when you break up with her, if she hasn't completely moved on and you have another kid, it destroys her.
Yeah.
Just knowing that you had a kid with somebody else. Life is experiences, man. Crazy, dumb choices, dumb decisions sometimes, man. And you just move on. So you had that going on. You got introduced to that lifestyle by your roommate at the time. Did you? So after you were married, did you ever get back into that, or it was pretty much done?
Yeah, after my marriage, it was a couple times after that because, like I said, I was more so trying to help him get content up. His biggest thing was he was trying to make money off the content. He didn't necessarily care about, I guess, who it was. He did care as far as the male talent, but me and him had always had a great relationship.
Okay.
He was more so as just trying to get as much content as he could because he was going independent when he strayed away from his cousin and was putting his own money into his little business or whatnot. He wanted to do it his way. So he wanted to keep people that he knew of or whatnot. He was getting new talent, stuff here and there. Yeah, it was just some time to time I would do to help him, and that was pretty much it. He would just hit me up.
It was just every now and then.
Yeah, every now and then he'd hit me up. Hey, man, I got a girl. Are you available to shoot whatnot? And whether I was or I wasn't, oftentimes I really wasn't because I was busy. We lived so far apart. I'm like, man, I ain't driving all the way down there for that. Yeah, he would pay me or whatnot, if he could. It wasn't a thing of, like I said, I was trying to make a career out of. It was just more so of trying to get him some footage or whatever what he needed.
How big is that scene in Atlanta?
As far as the adult
scene.
Oh, man, it's very big now more than ever because you don't necessarily have to get signed to a big agency. You can do it at home, whether you want to go do it solo or you want to do it with some people or whatnot. But I think somebody said online a while ago that with OnlyFans, you have to have everybody's ID has to be registered online or something because they want to make sure that everybody's of age, everybody's consenting to, they know you can be independent doing that. You don't necessarily have to be, but you can be independent and start your own adult company if that's the route you choose to go with. It's probably more profitable for women than men. With men, in order for it to be profitable, you have to put some money into it and you're going to have to work it like a full-time job because you have to get girls on camera friendly and look good on camera. Now, at the same time, a lot of amateur stuff is really popular. People like cell phone videos, just spur the moment stuff.
Black Twitter or what is it? Where
yeah. Whereas we see all that stuff, people like that. People pay big money for that. Oh yeah, people pay big money for that because people love that spontaneous stuff on the spot. It's okay with a little role play or whatnot. Just don't get too crazy with it. But yeah, just sex sells. I guess whatever avenue you try to go with it, it's gonna sell regardless of what you're doing. Probably more profitable for women, obviously, because women, with men, you just got to have good footage. You got to have good stuff to put out there and sell, but it's going to be off the strength of a woman. Unless you're doing stuff by yourself or whatever, you cater to a certain audience. It just all depends on the audience you're catering to and what you're doing and what you're producing. It's just like music. Some people going to gravitate to it, some people not.
So after that ended with him, did you ever think about doing it after that?
I thought about it, but I just didn't have the time to really put into it to make it successful how I wanted it. I had too much going on. I'm always working a job, and then I'm doing my own thing on the side. I was like, I really don't have the time to really put into this because, like I said, you got to work like a full-time job. It's going to take
production.
Because your production got to be right, and you got to know how to edit. You have to know how to filter, maybe put music and all that stuff. And I can do that with my phones and with your cell phones, your laptop or whatnot, but it's just timing. I don't have the time to do it. I don't. So
I got you. That's what's up. So we're going to segue here into bringing on your fiance, Miss Marissa here, and we're going to have a little conversation with you two guys. We're going to bring out the little love seat here, have you guys sit. I got one mic, but we can hear both of y'all with that one mic. So we're going to make it work. We're going to thug it out here. So Just stand by 1 second, guys. So, Miss Marissa has joined the podcast here. This is Miss Marissa, who's Marquis's fiance. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. Now, we're going to jump into it. Where are you from, first of all, Marissa?
I'm originally from Michigan. That's where I was raised at,
Okay.
Lansing, Michigan.
Is that the capital?
It is.
Okay.
Points.
I used to be a geography thing back in the day, geography B guy, but it's been a while. Michigan, how did you end up here in the beautiful city of Atlanta?
So I actually went to college at Alabama State. So I went from Lansing all the way down south to Alabama, and then my degree was in radio television. So
Okay.
I ended up moving to Atlanta to be in the broadcast network.
Nice.
And lo and behold, I'm still here.
Nice. So how did you and Marquis meet up? Because I'm pretty sure this will be interesting for what you guys were getting at earlier.
So we met on a dating app. We met on a dating app.
Okay, you guys met on a dating app?
Yeah, we met on a dating app.
So how did that go? Who approached who first on the dating app?
We just talked about this actually just recently. I don't even know honestly who reached out to who first. I just pulled those messages up because I think last week I had just logged into my old account to scroll back to see. Honestly, Jay, I don't even remember.
Yeah.
I got on the app that day to delete my account that day because I've been on there and I felt like it just really wasn't going well. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take a dating sabbatical. And I was going on to delete my account and I was like, well, I guess I'll get a few more swipes in while I'm here and then I'll go ahead and delete it. And then we matched because, on Tinder, you don't know who matches, but you like somebody. And then once there's a match, y'all are able to message. And so then we matched and we just started messaging and then we were off the app that day.
Got you. So what was that first meetup like?
First time we had a FaceTime call first
That's right.
because everybody want to verify because in Atlanta there's a lot of scammers
Yeah,
out here, a lot of
absolutely.
people with fake
Yeah.
profiles and everything. So when she said that's FaceTime, I was like, all right, cool, no problem, we FaceTime. So when we FaceTime, I never forget it. When we first came on, I was smiling, cheese.
I'm talking about
what
just,
are you smiling
you
for?
think you watching a
I was-
comedy.
I said, I want to know that I was real. Whether that the smile was real, it wasn't
was happy.
fake profile. So when we met in person, we had a gym date at first.
Nice.
That was the first time we saw each other face to face. I didn't think that she would be down for that. But with me, I was down to meet however she wanted to meet because she's a person or she's not want people coming to her house. I'm the same way. I don't want nobody coming to my
Right.
house because, not because anything happened before, but you just want to get to know each other outside of that so you can see if y'all are compatible enough to even go on an official date. So let's start off with something that we both enjoy, which is fitness. All right, cool. Let's meet up. So we met up and we worked out and everything together. Had a good conversation. We talked throughout the night and stuff and set up the official date for that following Sunday. By that time, I knew before we met that this was going to be something good because I can tell, but based off the conversation.
Nice.
And I could tell off the feedback I was getting from her. See, I dated a lot of women, like I told you earlier, and you can tell whether the conversation is there or whether it's not. And me, I can vet people through messages. Now, I know they're just messages, just reading them, but it's the way a person phrases their sentences
Right.
and how they complete them and everything. So I knew the way she was typing her messages and the way I'm interpreting them, I'm like, this can actually be something because I'm getting feedback.
She's
Like, actually-
interested.
Yeah.
She's engaging.
Yeah. So, I knew that the date was going to be good. And I said, okay, well, both got this one in the bag. This should be great because we have great conversation texting. So I can only imagine what it's like face to face. So I knew that Sunday was going to be a steal, so.
What year was this?
This was, believe it or not, last year.
Last year?
This was last year. We met May of 23.
Nice.
I think it was probably a week or 2 weeks after Mother's Day. And that's when we got the ball rolling.
So what did y'all do for that date? That first official date, not the other thing.
Official date.
Yeah. On Sunday.
Maggiano's. So when we
Okay.
were messaging on Tinder, we had already planned the first date. So he said he liked Italian, and I was like, I do too. I don't eat as often, but I was like, we could do that. So we had planned to go to Maggiano's. So the kind of first date, unofficially first date, was the gym just to meet up. But
Right.
we already had plans to meet that Sunday.
Cool. So what made him different from other men that you've dated?
So that was the thing. I was telling him, I was like on his profile for 15 minutes because it's the swiper and they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at his pictures and he has like different sides because he got like the little gold gym beater on, the muscles out. So I'm like, ooh, I don't know. Like he might be one of them boys. And then he had like a business side. So I was like, I don't know what he's giving off. But his profile, like he laid everything out. I like that I could tell he put effort into his profile and what he was looking for. And it was all very forward. So for me, it already let me know like he's not on here to play. There's no unicorn situation and all this little weird stuff they put on there, but he wanted something serious. And so I was like, okay, you know what? I definitely like that. And then when we had our conversation, again, we planned the date before we got off. So like we got off that night, exchanged numbers, and we already had things aligned. And so for me, I just knew he was just very intentional and he moved on that. It wasn't just words, but his actions led.
Got you. Now, in a world full of, because I hear this from women a lot, and you can tell me, they say that a lot of guys play games. A lot of guys are just not serious. You be talking to them 1 minute and the next they go ghost. Is that a common thing that you have experienced in the past?
Yeah, definitely. And I was telling him, like, I was getting off the app because, yeah, I was talking to people on there. I just wasn't feeling like that connection. And I was on Tinder like years ago. And it was like dating people that, yeah, you would talk to them for a couple weeks and then they go ghost and they try to pop back up with, hey, what you doing? And it's, like, I know that you was dipping and doing something else. You didn't just happen to lose your phone. So there is a lot of that. And I think there's a lot of that on both sides when it comes to men and women. And so I feel like a lot of people try to have like a protective shield when it comes to dating, but what ends up happening is that they end up just trying to be the first one basically to say got you.
Right.
And so because people are so used to that, it becomes a cycle of, as opposed to trying to get to know me and understand that I'm genuine, you're already trying to get your get back because you've been burned so many times. And so then it's just like perpetual insecurity all around. So with him, like we haven't stopped talking since that day.
So I think you hinted at it, Marquis. You said that obviously she was engaging. It didn't seem like she was playing around. Seems like she was serious. What else besides that made you take her seriously? Was there anything else?
I always kept an open mind going into the situation because the conversation was good on the phone and even in person. But I also had to remind myself, we've been through this before.
Right.
We've been down this road before. It's going good. And the next thing is this radio silent. So I always kept an open mind to understand and know that this may feel good, things may be going good, but you do have to understand that you still getting to know a person, so you don't know what all they have going on. You don't know what all was going on with you, internally or just emotionally or, whatnot. So you're still feeling a person out. And I don't think I ever told her this or not, but I always struggle with getting adjusted to being comfortable because I'm just waiting for that hey, listen, this is great. And I took it as her not wanting to really tell me what it was, but just let it down easy, or maybe just moving distant from me because I was so used to that. So I didn't want to get too excited, but I knew I was still going to put my best foot forward. I knew I was going to give my all. I knew I was going to be honest and be there physically so that we can keep this thing going as far as establishing this rapport and building on that. So I was just prepared for the inevitable, but still going to keep an open mind and be positive and say, this is ride this out. Let's ride this wave or whatnot. Let me show her that I'm serious. Let me at least do that so I can say at least I did give my best or whatnot. It may not have worked out, but that's okay. I was just trying to get more comfortable, trying to get adjusted to everything or whatnot. And I think that summer is what made me bring my guard down and say, all right, you know what? I see this really going somewhere because we were going through, a wave of having a great time and, let's say, just establishing everything. And so I knew it was something that was going to be for the long haul.
So at what point did you know that she was wifey for lifey?
I knew that off the dribble.
Wow.
Because, like I said, I'm good at vetting just women and people and just listening to them and watching them. See, I observe. I see a lot of things and I peep a lot of stuff. I may not say nothing about it, but I observe a lot of things. And, just listening to a person and understanding that everybody's not perfect. We all have our things that we got to work on, our vices or whatnot, whatever they are. But I always sensed something special in her that said, you know what, this is a person that wants a dynamic that I was always a big fan of and still is. So let's see if we can build on that. She wanted a family just like I did because at the time I wasn't really seeing my kids on the regular, but I knew that this was a person that I shared this thing in common with. So I said, okay, if all else fails with, let's say, communication and stuff, because we can work on that, we can fix that. Let's at least try to make this family dynamic stuff. So we started doing, the actual family stuff, and it was working. And I said, okay, to myself, I remember saying to myself many times in the beginning, let's just keep it going. Why stop? Let's get creative with it. Let's start doing other things to see where we match at. I put her on to different music and movies and stuff and everything. So we're just bouncing off each other with ideas. And that's what really catered to, building on to what we have now.
Man, that's awesome, man. And that's just, obviously it happened quick.
Yeah.
Or as people would like to say, as opposed to years.
And I didn't want to go that route because I knew if I did it, I'd lose her. I knew that because one thing I said, you have to be the type of person for the woman that you want. And the women that know what they want, they're not going to play games with you. Look, this dude don't know what he wants, that's a turn off. He may be attractive, all that, that's
Right.
nice and all, but if you don't have no vision and purpose, then what are we doing? I'm not wasting my time here. I'm not spinning my wheels. We're not getting younger. What's the deal? You want me to follow you and you be the leader? Okay. What are we doing? So I knew I had to come correct, and I knew I had to cut off certain things and not go in with the lies and the games and the little stuff that people look at as red flags. You had to be serious. Just be honest with it. Just be honest with your intentions and what you want. And I knew that coming through the door. And like I said, I just wanted to keep that consistent. I knew keeping consistency and us spending time on my off days or her off days or trying to fill those voids with us spend time together, I knew it would make it stronger because if I was one of those as like I was before, making excuses and going to do other stuff, entertaining other people, a person may not know specifically what you're doing, but they're gonna feel something's up.
Yeah.
Like, what's up with dude here? What's going on? In the beginning, we were spending time, we were doing this. Now he's pulling back a little bit. He's still here, but he's not really here, and I didn't want to do that. So I devoted a lot of my time to her and us doing things together. So.
What's your favorite thing about her?
My favorite thing about her, I love when she comes to me, especially when we're having a rough patch. And I love when she just basically just lays it all out and say, hey, look, regardless of what, we're going to be all right.
She's a good communicator.
I love that. That's the top thing that steals me every time because it makes me more calm. It puts away my paranoia because I get bad anxiety at times. But when she soothes me with her words and saying, look, I know it's rough, or I know we may not agreed on this, but babe, I love you. I'm sorry for whatnot. That allows me to put my guard down because we don't like guns blazing. We made a vow to ourselves to not attack every situation, on a high, because that was me, being a hothead and being, aggressive when things don't go my way and stuff. And she taught me to calm all that down and communicate with me. And I knew if I didn't do that and I didn't check it, I was going to lose her. And I didn't want to do that. So
I know he's had challenges with like abandonment. So when we
Right.
have disagreements, I had to learn to say, okay, you're a little hot right now. And so I'm like, okay, babe, I'm going to go get something to drink. You're a little hot, but I love you.
Right.
I'm not going nowhere. And so that will let him know I'm really going to get something to drink,
Right.
but I'm not leaving you. I'm not leaving the situation. Like, we're not done. We're not over. And, that would help. Like he said, that would help the situation. So he knows, like, we had a little spat, but I'm still here and I still love you.
Now, Marissa, what's your favorite thing about Marquis?
Oh my gosh, just so many things. He is like the plan. I always tell him, like, I always thought I was fast and I was efficient, but he's like a step ahead of me in everything. And he has always been so thoughtful and attentive just in planning. This man will do surprises for days. He will always plan everything out. My background coming from men that were just like, I don't do the romance thing and I don't know all that. And so it's like the background that he has, like he talked about earlier, is very diverse. He's been through a lot in his life, but he can still love in spite of all that. He can still be intentional and set up date nights and be spontaneous. We can have a movie night in the living room. We can go and have date night just in the bedroom. Like, we can go to a park. Like, he knows how to have fun with just simple things and make them always meaningful.
Yeah, that's dope. Y'all found each other at the right time to be able to do that. Communication, especially you got a woman that can communicate. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, communication. We both learned that that's the thing that's going to keep the engine going in this relationship is communication. Because once you stop all that and you start becoming distant, that's when your mind starts to wander and everything and whatnot. I knew if I didn't open up in certain ways, that's just going to trickle you back into your old ways, into your old habits of just dismissing everything and just putting yourself before everything else. And now that the chips on the table and everything, every move you make, you want to make it intentional. And understanding that it's not going to be pretty all the time. It's not going to always be the sun, moon, stars, all that good stuff. It's going to be challenges. But it's going to test the strength and the faith of your relationship or whatnot. And that shit, you don't have to be a religious person to understand that and to know that you're going to get tested. You're going to get faced with challenges. It's not designed to be easy. If that was the case, there'd be no divorce. There'd be none of that. But you got to just stick it out and work it out. If you really want it. If you don't really want it like that, then it's going to show. But if you really want this to work and you want it to be successful with the bad stuff that you got to work on in it, then you got to stay on top of everything. You got to stay consistent. You got to do check-ins.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. We do like intentional check-ins, whether it's a lemon squeeze situation, like
Right.
just get it all off your chest, or we have what we call like our nude counseling, because like when you're nude, you can't really be that mad at each other. But that can be a time that we
Say
can
it when you what?
nude counseling.
Explain that, because this is
What we do
this is a new
is-
concept right here.
Yeah, this
for
is,
me.
Yeah, but this is between me and her. Let's say,
Yeah.
for example, Jay, you with your lady.
Right.
And y'all say, okay, we're going to take off all our clothes, just me and you, in this room by ourselves. It's not nothing sexual, nothing
Right.
like that. It's just y'all completely naked. And you're putting it all on tables, whether good, bad, or whatever.
Wow.
'Cause when you're
So you're most
naked,
vulnerable.
you can't hide your feelings, or you tuck your arms away in your shirt
Right.
or whatnot and be jaded. You have to be exposed to each other. It's a private thing for couples to be able to get your flaws out there. Sometimes it's not going to be pretty. It's not designed to always be maybe a good thing. You may have to have some difficult conversations on top of that, which we have, and learn that it works, whatnot. And that's what you got to do to whatever creativity that you can put in a relationship to communicate and to be able to get stuff out there. You got to go for it. And like I said, if you want it to work,
So what do you guys feel about 50-50?
As far as bills,
Yeah, go in half.
I mean,
I'm asking a couple since we got a couple here.
well,
How do y'all feel?
I look at it like, hey, look, I say this. Whatever works for whatever couple, whatever y'all agreement is as far as your finances, then that's for you. I can say I disagree with it. I can say I agree with it, but I don't know your financial situation.
Right.
We don't know who's make more than this person or whatnot. Whatever works for y'all, I will say that.
Gotcha.
If it works to where this person pays this and this person takes care of all it, okay, fine. If that works for y'all, cool. You don't have to base it off of what somebody else is doing.
Yeah.
Because your household income may be different from the next person's, and so on and so forth. So I would say do what works for your household. This the person that you with, and y'all together, 10 toes down. This is your woman, and this is her man, pots and pans. Then whatever y'all got to do, make it work.
So just to speak for the ladies, because I've been in that club before, and I understand, especially women that are doing very well, with their independence and doing very well in their career, that we will have this mindset of he's supposed to, this whole Disney fairy tale idea that people go for. But what they need to realize and understand is that, there can be a man out there that can pay all of your bills and 100% all these things that you want, as we call them high value men. But they may not always be the ones that are going to also treat you right.
For
and
sure.
have the family dynamic and to make time for you. So you have to really understand what your values are. And I think that's important for women to really ask, do I really value a man that can pay all the bills for me but never be here, not be a father to the kids, possibly cheat on me? What am I really opening myself up for based off of me wanting to have this type of lifestyle? And so for me, I understood that I really wanted partnership. I wanted somebody that I knew I could trust and that was trustworthy, that I could have a family dynamic with. And so for us, we also understand that like in a real life marriage, 100%, 50%, 60%, it's going to vary. Like I'm currently laid off right now, so we're in a shift based off of where we were before. It was different. So
Right.
you're going to have those different stages. So if you always have this idea of everything will always be one way and you go in hoping for that, you're going to mess yourself up, because then you're not going to be able to deal with when real life happens.
Right.
When things turn, when you have to not be the one making sacrifices or vice versa. So you have to really go in understanding, like, whatever works for our household. So what my friends do, what my family may do, it's about our household. As long as our lights are on, we don't got no foreclosure notice on the door, we got food in the fridge, like, we both believe in just a flow. Whoever's picking this up, who's taking care of this, like, just ensuring that things are taken care of in the household.
That's dope. I appreciate that response. A lot of my guests, because I know it's a hot topic, especially being that perfect time I felt like I would ask, because we have a couple here right now asking you guys. So with dating and coming together from being single and dealing with infidelity issues, trust issues in the past, being able to confide in a woman and not, how do you keep it fresh or keep it monogamous and avoid temptation in your relationship?
Let me go first. Okay. All right. One of the things that I had to get out of the habit of doing was just that punk ass lying. Stop all that lying. That was the first thing with me, because I struggled with that. All because of just, keeping the secrets and all that stuff.
Why were you doing that though? Why do
I
you
was doing
think
that before, just to more so protect myself. Because I always look at situations like that when we lie to somebody, we're doing it to protect us and we're doing it to hide something.
Or out of fear?
Yeah, the fear. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
All of that mixed in together. So the first thing is I had to stop all of that. Cut that stuff out, and I can deal with everything else. And fast forward to now, looking at relationships and the longevity different than I did before. I knew that, okay, look, you're gonna burn every situation in your life that comes to you that's good. You're gonna throw it all away, all because you can't shake that selfishness. If I want her to be a certain way with me, then I gotta be the example of that. I can't just say, tell me this, tell me that,
Right.
and all this, and then not be the example. So I had to set that example coming in and say, if I'm gonna be intentional, then this stuff has gotta stop. This is me checking myself.
For sure.
This shit gotta stop for real. Because you're gonna lose this, and you already know when a woman stop trusting you and stop believing you, it's a wrap. You lost it, because you'll spend the entire relationship trying to regain her trust, and every time you pick up your phone or you go out the house and whatnot. So, to answer the question altogether, what we do is we get creative with how we interact with each other.
Right.
We open up about things that a lot of couples may not want to talk about,
Right.
and we go there with each other. We fully go there and say, okay, yeah, there's times where I get tempted or whatnot. I may not go for it or do this or do that, but I'm not blind. She's not blind. You're going to see attractive people.
Right.
Where we live, you're going to see attractive people every day. But you understand that it's just people. It's just looks. You don't have to cross that line, because you don't ever want to disrespect your household, disrespect the foundation, everything that you built and been working on. So I had to look at it from a different perspective and not go in with the same mindset I had in previous relationships.
How about you, Marissa? We didn't delve too much in your background, but
Yeah. So for us, just keeping it spicy, it comes with, again, like the date nights that we do. And I think us always being intentional about putting time aside for us to be able to be romantic. So whether it's a dinner, sometimes we'll just come out to the city, or he rented like an Airbnb, just
Nice.
a random night, during the week for us to get away. So we like to do, like he said, a lot of different things and be creative with this. So again, sometimes it's in the bedroom. We've had a whole tasting session with the fireplace, upstairs, or again, just going out to different places, having fun. So we just look to do something different, try different things.
for sure. Said, man, this has been a dope one right here. I appreciate you guys showing up, man. Is there anything you want to leave for any couples out there or people who may be searching for love or coming to the city? Anything you want to leave for anybody out there?
All I can say is that oftentimes when you're not looking for it, you find it.
There you go.
When you're not looking.
Yeah.
Because when we're trying to pick and choose what we think the perfect person in our brain is, that's not necessarily what
Right.
the universe has for you. It may not, you don't know who you may fall for. Just get open-minded, get out of the stereotypical way of he or she got to look like this and work this kind of job, make the type of money or whatnot. Get more open-minded and get serious and be realistic with your expectations. Be realistic. And like I said, be open-minded, because everybody is not going to fit your criteria. But it doesn't mean that they're not a good person. It doesn't mean that at all. You just have to have the patience to be able to stick it out and see if this person is if this person works for you, and if you can be compatible with that person. So that's what I would say. Just keep an open mind.
How about you, Marissa?
I would say look to work on. So definitely to his point as far as like being open, and I'd say really be honest with yourself. That's where it starts when it comes to being honest in a relationship. Because if somebody was to ask you what did you do wrong in your past relationships, answer that question honestly to yourself first. And if you know that it is issues with anger, if you know that it's issues with trust, then look to work on those things before getting into a relationship. Because being in a relationship, it's like having a mirror around all day, except it's going to be the true version of you. The person that's able to say, no, you do this all the time. You do have a habit of this. And so if you're not ready to experience that, then you're not ready to be in a relationship, because you really need to be open to the idea that you're not perfect. And you do have parts of you that stink. And coming in with the mindset of this is just who I am is not going to fly, because two people looking to get married are coming to be one. So
For
that
sure.
means that we have to be able to have mutual things that will be beneficial to the relationship, not stank attitudes, not selfishness. Like none of that feeds into positivity. So you just really have to do some work probably on yourself to be ready for that.
That's what's up. Definitely dope. Dope conversation here. I appreciate you guys showing up tonight. This is, like I said, I know this is going to be a definitely a dope episode when we put this out, for sure. You know what I mean? So, Marquis, I appreciate you showing up.
I appreciate you for having me. Like I said, huge fan, been following you for 3 years. So, I always wanted to get on your show.
Yeah.
So I'm just in awe to be here, so I really appreciate you for having me.
Perfect timing, man. Perfect timing. And with that being said, guys, I appreciate you for tuning in. Y'all know what to do. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to put your handles on here. Where can people follow you guys at?
Ladies
Yeah,
first.
so you have so many pages. They can follow mine. It's the_official_miss.red.
Okay, and I'm going to have that in the description of this video. How about you, Marquis? Where can everybody follow you at?
Everybody can follow me on my fitness page, marquis.j.fit.
Okay, and that will be in the description as well. Guys, make sure you follow them. And with that being said, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you guys subscribe to the Atlanta Noire podcast here as well. Much blessings and abundance. If you guys are interested and you're in the Atlanta area and sharing your story, or if you're a couple and would like to share your story, feel free to hit me up. The link will be in the description as well. With that being said, much blessings and abundance. Stick around for the next videos. It's going to pop up on the screen below. That's where I'm going to see you guys at. It's your favorite everything. This is wisdom. Let's run it up to 1 million. Quit playing with me. Peace.